I needed every bit of time away after that game. I was just such in a great spot after that loss. I was so mad that we immediately went and helped my mom move stuff into her new house.
Oh, you didn't do the 1 o'clock slate?
No. I checked out. I came back, I think at about 4 when I finally checked back in with football. But even then, it was on the TV. I was so mad. And there was one guy in particular that I was really mad at. That, man, did I need that little time away. I didn't even rewatch the game. You know how I go.
Yeah,
I'll watch it and then rewatch it at night, and then I'll even go back and watch like the All 22 on Monday. I have not watched anything but the first run because it was when a team plays well, when the players play well enough to win, and the little things are what sink you from a win that was faded to you. Like Carson Wentz was clearly not healthy in that game. They had 5 offensive line. They're third
he had one
string.
shoulder by the time the game was ending.
Third string center. Only one starting offensive lineman. They had Van Ginkel was out as well. You had some great momentum early in that game to watch that team lose. And it goes a lot to Kevin Stefanski. Really just didn't sit right with me.
So I thought it was interesting. So as you kind of veered away from it, I plugged myself deeper into it. So I had the 1 o'clock games on, and I made sure that was on mute, and then I put on Jeff and Tyvis, and I just wanted to hear the post game. And I took the post game from the entire beginning all the way up to the very end, and I couldn't escape the idea that it felt like what we've been screaming for a year with Stefanski had finally come home to roost with all the fans. It felt like everything we've been talking about with and that's more than just the timeouts and the decision making. I'm talking about the lack of an offense. It has finally hit a boiling point for the fans. And I was like, so you guys all woke up. It felt like the eyes were all wide awake. Everyone's there, and they're just finally now on the same page.
If you remember, after the Baltimore game, that's the first time it felt like fans had taken the big hard turn on Kevin, and then you got the reprieve because of the Green Bay win. And in a lot of ways, I thought yesterday was the exact opposite of the Green Bay win because you were the better team for 58 minutes, at 57 minutes. And then, quite frankly, your coaching staff, and it's not just Kevin, but your coaching staff allowed a little bit of an advantage to Minnesota, and they stole the win from you. Whereas in Green Bay, they were the clearly better team for 56 minutes, and then you just got a couple good breaks, and you got that win. This was the opposite of that, but I'll just say this. Specific to one specific play, on 3rd and 11, the whole game, Kevin had been running the most conservative game plan, and rightfully so, right? What have they tried to do? We're going to try and ball control. We're going to keep away. We're not going to give your offense too many chances to win. We're going to trust our defense. And so many people have done this thing and said this thing of, Kevin was trusting his defense. Okay, except for the whole 3rd and 11 play.
Well, and all the plays leading up to that, you had one first down in the entire fourth quarter. It's not as if they were able to move the ball at will, and then all of a sudden decided on 3rd and 11, okay, we gotta trust our defense now.
So this is like I don't know if you watch during a fantasy football matchup where you're like, all right, I've got a 97% chance to win and a 3%.
I'm picking Hacksaw's butt this week.
You really are. Hacksaw had 3 guys on bye.
He didn't put his roster together.
Did not set his lineup.
I don't know Hacksaw, but I want to be like, can you text Hacksaw? I don't want to win this way.
4 weeks in, Hacksaw's gone full Hacksaw.
And my team's actually played well, too. That's the sad part. You want that win on a bad game.
So in the fourth quarter, I was like 60% leaning on Stefanski because it just felt like they had started to try and do more stuff in the fourth quarter with a guy in his first start. That 3rd and 11, though, pissed me off. It's like you run, and then on 3rd and 11, which some of the longer plays is where Dylan Gabriel did have accuracy issues. That play basically it was a 5 timeout swing by the time Minnesota scored. You have the lead, and you have 3:27 left in the fourth quarter. You win those games. Yep. In the NFL, if you have a good head coach, you win those games. Instead, we went 3:27, and then by the time you were punting the ball, you'd gone -1 yard, and it was 3:16. You took 11 seconds off the clock. I have seen Andy Reid. I have seen any great Shanahan, all these guys. We have watched them take off, and Andy Reid gets criticized sometimes for his late game management, but we've been able to watch some of the really good head coaches just milk 3:20 dry until the end of that game, and he wasn't able to pull that off. Wasn't even close. And here's the thing. You still might have lost if you had just run the ball on 3rd and 11, but they would have had one less thing to play with, and you gave them the one less thing to play with. And so I guess, and by the way, because I know people want to put this on the defense, we'll get to the defensive side of this.
Yeah.
At no point should you have been in cover 2 or cover 6 on that final drive. Denzel Ward should not be in some sort of zone defense when you've got Jordan Addison and you can just neutralize a player by just putting Denzel Ward on him. That's on Jim Schwartz. That's on whoever called that play defensively.
Yeah, cover 6 in that moment. What's interesting is that Ward after the game was not that he could run from it, but he at least owned up to it in an interesting way. He was like, that one's all on me. There were some weird post-game comments. I listened to all of Tyvis and Jeff last night after the game, or yesterday after the game. Like Myles Garrett at halftime, talking about how he felt exhausted because of the London trip. I'm like, who just admits that?
Miles.
It was so weird. It was like,
kind of, in game, he's the only guy who would admit that in game.
All right, did you feel tired, because the London game? He's like, well, at halftime, yeah, I was pretty exhausted. What? Why would you say that?
I just think...
Why would you tell us that?
So, I felt like Sunday could have been a pivotal game. Where going into last week, when you weren't here, one of the things I said was, a lot of people were talking about, well, just let's see the offense take a jump. And I'm like, no, you made a quarterback switch. And you did it to spark this team. And the only way that truly works 100% across the board is if you win the game. And because you lost that game, and because I do put it on coaching, because I do put it on situational football as led by the coaching staff, this is the kind of game that we can look back in 5 weeks from now, and if they don't have another win, this is where it fell out. This is where you lost a team. That's how bad I thought Kevin, and to a lesser degree, but still, Jim Schwartz was in this game.
The schedule will get easier. I looked it up earlier today. AFC teams that have 1 win or fewer on the season, there's 6 of them in the AFC right now, including the Browns. We take on all 5 before this season is done. Like, you're going to have opportunities to try to get wins. The schedule does get a little bit nicer, more than a little bit, a lot nicer. But I don't know that Stefanski knows how to win games at this point. I think he's been stuck in this losing cycle. And when you watch this game, it's just what it felt like to me. You had the lead, and we've seen this time and time again now. He has the lead, he's got the upper hand, and then he just changes the entirety of how he's coaching a game, and he just waits to just slip on the banana peel and fall over.
And so it's funny. Earlier this season, we talked about, do we have the wrong offensive mastermind named Kevin because of the success Kevin O'Connell has had with a myriad of different quarterbacks, and not just good offenses. They've just won. No matter who the quarterback is, they just win, and they win games they're not supposed to win. That was the superior Kevin out-coaching the inferior Kevin. Because he got out, the way that Kevin O'Connell got him to use his timeouts there inside the final minute 20, which absolutely killed any chance you had.
The one at 54 seconds.
Yep.
Well, you let them reset and figure everything out? What are you doing in that moment? And I get at that point, Kevin thought that he was trying to play to when he gets the ball back to have more time, but all you did was set the Vikings up for success.
Yes, and here's the thing. You cannot, in a season where the margin to win in that game was paper thin, you cannot be the reason your team lost. And if you are, you don't have to just worry about fans turning on you, media turning on you. You have to worry about losing the locker room. And that right there, listen, it's not the conversation for today. I know people want to have the should they fire Kevin. That's incredibly premature. But the one way I think Kevin can lose his job this year is losing the locker room. And I don't know if I'm in that locker room. I don't know how I don't feel like the coaches. We the players, played well enough to win. Mm-hmm. They weren't perfect, and neither were the Vikings. But I think the Browns had the better game. The players played the better game. They played more winning football than the Vikings did. And to have coaching be the reason you lose this early in the season when you're already 1-3, oh, that gets unforgivable real quick.
Yeah, they flat out got out-coached there. There's no other way to look at it. You mentioned KOC, because now we're back calling him KOC.
Yeah, when you get that kind of win, you are KOC.
Not that it ever left. Who are we kidding? And so he gave, everyone always gets on Stefanski for not showing enough passion or not getting angry enough. And I thought it was interesting. Kevin O'Connell, in the final play, or second to final play, what turned out to be the second to final play, the Dylan Gabriel Hail Mary, essentially, that then they had to redo, he showed more emotion lighting up that ref for granting the timeout that he tried to call He tried to call
Still
it.
one of the funniest things in the world.
And he looked at that ref as if he walked into his house and basically slept with his wife and was the meanest person imaginable. Like cross boundaries you can't cross, okay? Like that's how, like, so much disdain at this ref for granting the timeout that he wanted. And O'Connell felt like he was that way the entire fourth quarter. And you just don't see that with Kevin.
He looked at that ref the way Ben Johnson looked at Aditi Kinkhabwala for asking a simple question. Like, that's, I know. By the way, way to show your ass, Ben Johnson, but way to coach Kevin O'Connell. That's the difference between winning and losing in the NFL. 216-474-0092. JP is back. If you guys haven't seen yet, we are on YouTube. We want to see you guys there in the comments section. Jake Murren will chime in throughout the show and let us know what you guys are thinking there. Of course, we'll see you guys on social media. At Nick Wilson Says, at Jay Peterlin on social media. Social media reactions on X, powered by Scheiben Jewelers, Cleveland's premier jewelry store. But again, we want to hear from you today. We got Quick Hits coming up at 3:40. We've got Nathan Zagura coming up at 5, the lead at 5:20, Enduro Rider at 6 o'clock. I will say, that is not the kind of loss that Kevin Stefanski can afford at this moment in time.